Hey guys, this is Rod Arriagada coming to you live from Pine Creek First Nation, and we're here for the 2021 Chief and Council Candidates Forum. This is live coverage brought to you by Turtle Nation Holdings, and I'm Rod Arriagada. I'll be your host today, your commentator, if you will. And we're just waiting for one of the first candidates to come up here, and we're going to get started right away. And I can tell you that the list, according to my list, the first person up will be Harley Chartrand, and then followed by Cindy Campbell McKay. So right now, Harley came into the building. He's waiting to get himself comfortable. Can you get that bag off there? There we go. And we're just gonna wait for him to get on to his chairing, and when he's ready to go, we're gonna start going with that. Yeah, whenever you want, you can just, yeah, you can ready to go up there. Okay, so that's Harley. I'm gonna turn off my mic, turn up his mic, and then he's gonna have 50 minutes to present his platform. If you guys have any questions in regards to the election, if you want to ask him a couple of questions, if there's a little bit of time afterwards, you guys will have enough time to ask him a couple of questions there as well. Make sure that the questions are clean, nothing negative or derogatory, please. If there is anything negative or derogatory in the room, I'm gonna erase comments first. I'll give you a warning. If you don't listen, then you'll get booted out and you won't be allowed back in the room. So please be respectful of the candidates and everyone else that's taking the effort to go into this and do this right now. So here is Harley Chartrand. He'll begin his candidate speech right after this.
Hello, good day. My name is Harley Chartrand, and I'm running for candidate for councillor of the Pine Creek First Nation. And I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to speak to my friends, family members, and everyone else in our great nation. And I thank you sincerely for taking the time out of your lives to join me and share my vision for the future of your Pine Creek First Nation. But before I talk about the future, I'd like to take a few minutes to visit the past. I spent much time lately thinking about what the community means to me. I spent much time wondering if I truly understand what the community needs from me. I've spent much time reflecting and walking and envisioning my role and the impact it could have on our great nation. On one of my recent walks, I discovered this arrowhead. At first, it was just something cool I found along the path I was traveling. The more I held it, though, I began to imagine the history surrounding this arrowhead. It got me thinking of the rich history of our people. There was a time not long ago that the people of Pine Creek First Nation were largely self-sufficient people. Our people were masters of fishing and hunting. We thrived because we worked hard to provide for our families, free from the dependency of government funding. When our families needed to eat, we took those arrows and we hunted, and we fished, and we provided for ourselves and our elders. When we needed shelter, we built the shelter. When we needed clothing, we made our own clothing. We worked hard for everything we had, and we need to get back to that. Now, I know these thoughts are from a time that are from long behind us, but the idea that we can be self-sustaining nation once more is not just a fantasy. The idea that we can create a prosperous nation built and maintained by the hands of our people is very real and within our grasp. The land we used to hunt is in our backyards. The water we used to fish is right outside our doors. The resources we need to make our dreams a reality are in our possession. I want to see a hatchery built so we can restock our local waters. I want to see a fish shed added to make sure the fish stay close to home, and I want to take our industry to market and create jobs and other opportunities for our people, like tourism, guided tours, resorts, something to show the world how amazing and beautiful and bountiful our community truly is. Something to make us even more proud to be from Pine Creek First Nation than we already are. And when we welcome these visitors from around the world to our home, I don't want them to see run-down homes or boarded up windows or burnt-down houses, which is why I also am committed to fighting for an overhaul of the housing management policies and procedures. I intend to find a fair and equitable access to housing and housing repairs by introducing an independent housing committee to oversee the property management within our boundaries. Not only that, but I also want to explore the possibility of introducing housing opportunities to off-reserve band members. I know for certain that one of the most important ways to ensure the success of our people, no matter where they live, is to ensure that they are always confident that there is a solid roof over their heads. You're likely aware that recreation and sports is very close to my heart. My greatest memories are of representing my family, my friends, my community, on and off the field and on the ice. I want to ensure that every child has the opportunities I had growing up, which is why I will fight to set up a fund to make sure that sports programs go off regardless of funding. We have a lot of work to do. If we want to launch these programs for our children, once I'm at the table, I will fight to make sure the doors are open. I'm sure you've heard that it takes the community to raise a child. I'll be counting on the people of Pine Creek to stand up and devote time to help me build and maintain the fields, repair and maintain the arenas, coach the children, and create new memories that will last a lifetime. Together we can do this. Over the last few weeks, I've made a lot of promises to fight for my people. I've talked a lot about the things we can accomplish together. I've not spoken a lot about some of the issues which have tried to tear us apart. Canada has a lot of skeletons in the closet. There isn't a person listening who hasn't been affected by the residential school system or the 60s scoop. I want to take a moment to stand with my community here for a moment of silence out of respect for all of our children, brothers, sisters, friends that left one day and never returned home. Thank you. The effects of these horrors have haunted us for generations. What happened to our people should never be forgotten. The crimes committed against our people were never about what was best for our people. It was never about providing a better life for our kids. It was about killing the Indian and the child. It was about the assimilation of our people, the eradication of our language, and the destruction of our way of life. The effects this dark time in our history linger to this day in our homes. Many of you still have nightmares and are afraid to share your stories. I can't understand what you are feeling, but I know that we need to come together as a community to help our neighbors overcome their fears from those dark days. And that is why I want a committee formed that will come up with a plan to assist those in the community suffering from mental health issues. That includes everyone, man, woman, and child. No person should be left behind. No person should be forgotten. I know my dreams are big, and the time we have to work on them is a short time, but for the first time in a long time, your leaders are calling on you to not only get out to the polls, but to participate in the building of a new and improved Pine Creek First Nation. 5 people are not enough to change the fortunes of thousands. If we want to realize the dreams that I have put forth these last few weeks, if we want to realize the dreams that our ancestors had for their children and their children's children, the only way for us to unite, not behind our relatives, not behind the things that were promised to us by people running for office, but we have to unite for the betterment of our entire community. We need to come together once and for all and make sure that every single band member, on or off reserve, is involved in the success of our community. When I started this journey towards leadership, I knew that I wanted to set an example for the leaders of today and the leaders of tomorrow. I knew that in order to do that, I needed to be bold, honest, and I needed to be a role model for anyone who wanted to follow in my shoes. Most of all, I wanted to show everyone that a candidate could be positive and optimistic without smearing or complaint. It pains me to know that our election is now clouded by controversy. There was an announcement that I wanted to save for the victory party, but I'm feeling now, though, that I need to show once more that there are those who have the success of our community in mind, and that the people are truly the most important reason we go through this process every 4 years. It is with great pride I pledge to donate a small percentage of my salary as a councillor to a fund dedicated to sport and recreation in the community, and I challenge my fellow candidates to do the same. There is no dispute that in our children we are raising the future of our community, the future, and they deserve to have every opportunity possible available to them. We have 1 week to make sure that 3,000 voices are heard. Please, everyone, get out to the polls. Call your friends and family. It has never been more important to get out there and vote. Get out there and vote in person. Make sure they get to the polls. Have your friends call their friends. Convince people to get out there and vote. We have to do something. We have to stand up, and it's time for our Pine Creek First Nation to wake up. Change is coming, and this election has never been so important. People need to wake up. And there's another thing I'd like to see at the school. You know, with the residential school and all the things that happened, we're losing our language. Most of our people, we don't know our language. We know certain words, we know some things. That's something that should be brought back by the government and funded to our schools to teach our children their language and bring it back. Because once it's forgotten, we're going to be learning this through a book. And when you learn something through a book, a language, you're not learning everything properly. So on June 29th, get out there and vote. Your voice, your choice. Harley Chartrand for councillor. If you have any questions now, I'll take them at this time.
All right, guys. So is there any questions? Does anybody have a question for Harley right now? You got a couple of minutes here. See if I got any comments on here. Right now, it doesn't look like there's any comments. Yeah, it doesn't look like any comments as of yet.
I'd also, while we're waiting, I'd like to talk about economic development in our community. It would bring so much to our community. Like, we don't need to be dependent on the government for funding. We could find ways to be self-sufficient, and all we have to do is put in the work. If you put in the work, you're going to get things done. If you're going to sit around at the table waiting for things to come to you, it's going to take a long time to happen, or it's never going to happen. So when you get out there and vote, remember, you're voting for your First Nation to prosper. You're voting for things to get better. You're voting for a change. Not everything in the last 4 years was bad. There was a lot of good that happened. They left a lot at the table for us. We're sitting good financially, and it could go either way after this election. Things could go bad, things could go good. That's all up to the voters. It's all left up to you. So if you want to have a good next 4 years, remember how you vote. Vote with your heart. Vote for who you think is going to do good. Don't vote for someone just because they're your family member or they're your cousin. Vote for people who are going to make the positive change that this place needs. If you come out and you look around the community right now, there's so much hurt, there's so much going on with this COVID-19 pandemic. There's people suffering, there's people hurting. And we got to stand up and do something about this. We got to help our people right now. There's no waiting, there's no standing back. We got to get in there and we have to do something. So you remember that when you make your vote, it's all up to you.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay?
So the first question is, what are you going to do about the drugs that are coming in and out of the community? How are you going to help that?
And we have to do something about them, you know. Can't just sit back and watch. Our community is hurting. I just said it, our community is hurting, and we have to step in and do something. Things have to be done. Sitting around and sitting back and watching is not going to help things. People are hurting so bad right now, and it's time for us to wake up as a community, as a First Nation. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to stand up and do something. Yes, for sure.
Okay, and then there's another one that says, you want to provide programs for youth. What do you plan to bring the community as for the adults and the elders?
Well, for the adults and elders, I plan to do a lot. Things don't just happen overnight. Things are not going to change overnight. You have to remember that. And I'm not just about the kids. I'm about everyone. I'm about the elders. I'm about the people in between. I'm here for everyone. I'm not here for myself. I'm not here for the paycheck. I'm here to make this place better. And if you can see that when you go out and vote, put your X beside my name. And for the elders, there's a lot we can do. There's so much. For everybody, there's so much we could do. I'd like to see a personal care home built here one day, and that's going to take a lot of work, and that's something we need to keep our elders here at home. And there's so much out there right now. There's so much grants, there's funding for all kinds of things. You just have to get out there and find it. And once I get to the table and I see how the finances are and I look at the books, I'll know more. I'll know more that we can do. And there's a lot to do. There's so much we can do, but we just have to sit down and see the finances, see how things are, and we have to work from there. Like, there's a lot going to be done. There's more on the table than sports and recreation. I'm going to put my efforts everywhere, not just to one area. I'm here for the people, and you have to know that.
Okay, the other one is, what's your plan for off-reserve members?
Well, for off-reserve members, again, I have to do research. Like you ask, you come here and you ask the band, what is there for off-reserve members? And most of the time, you're going to get the runaround. You're going to get told there's nothing here for you. We have no funding for that. And if I'm elected, I'm going to dig. I'm going to dig deep, and I'm going to find what's there. That's the reason why I'm running. For most of my life, I've been an off-reserve band member. I've asked for help to go to school. I've asked for funding for different things. I never got help. I never got the funding to go to school. So I went out and worked. I left here and I went to work for the past 15 years. And I done pretty good for myself. So I know what it's like to not be helped for off-reserve members. And I'll dig deep and I'll find out what's there for you guys. I'll dig and I'll find. And if you ask me, I'll be honest. I also have a website where if I'm elected, I'm going to keep my website open and I'm going to share any information that I feel that you need to know. And you could visit my website at www.harleychartrand.ca and you'll find any information. You could contact me through the website and I'll get back to you. Like, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm here for the people. It's time to wake up. I'll say it over and over and over again. It's time for us to wake up and stand up and be here for our First Nation.
Okay, and one final question. The final question will be, what are your views on the LGBTQ2S community? How will you include them moving forward?
You know, for me, you are who you are. I don't discriminate against nobody. I'll work with everybody. I'm here for everybody. I'll work with you in the future, and of course we'll include you in everything. We're in 2021 and times have changed. And looks like my time is up here, but you're going to be included, and I'm here for everybody. I'm not going to look down on nobody. I'm not going to let my ego get the better of me. I'm going to be here for the people. I'll be at this office. If I'm elected, I'll be here for the people, for everybody. No matter who you are or what you are, we're elected here for the people, and that's what matters most.
There was one more. I'm just going to let it go in because it's a good question. So are you going to make sure the new leadership and members get together online or in person to create the mandate for the next 4 years?
Yes, I am. That's the future. Technology is here. Everything should be transparent. Our members should see everything. Why should we have to hide stuff? The only time you have to hide things is when you're doing something wrong. And if I'm elected, I guarantee you I'm not here for the money. I'm not here to do wrong. I'm here for the people, and I'll make sure that the people know what's going on. And when you cast your vote, you keep that in mind. You vote with your hearts. You vote for who's going to make the best of your vote. So I'm here to stand up for everyone. I'm here to make change, and I'm here for everybody, basically, yeah. And if you have any questions, go to my website and you can contact me at any time. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope as many of you get out there and vote as possible. Thank you.
All right, so that was Harley Tyler Chartrand, your first council candidate who just came on and presented his platform speech, a very good one all around from what it sounds like to me. Good gentleman, good heart. If you guys want to support Harley Chartrand come election day, you know where to hit that X and check mark. Right on, man. So now we're going to wait for our next candidate who's going to be coming in. That's Cindy Campbell McKay. We're just waiting for her to make her way in here, and then we're going to go straight to her speech. And, well, let's bring up her name right now. Might as well. There's her name, and she's just coming in right now. She's going to get comfortable. Give her a couple minutes to settle in. Yeah, that was a great speech for sure. I agree with you guys. Guy's got a lot of passion for what he wants to do. All right, just let me know when you're ready to go, and then we'll start your speech. Okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Cindy Campbell McKay, and I'm seeking re-election for a next 4-year term. I would like to begin by wishing all of you a happy National Indigenous Peoples Day. I hope that you can celebrate our beautiful culture and heritage in some way today with your family and friends. I have served as one of your council members for the past 2 terms and believe that I can fulfill another mandate for which you will set out for me. I am a mother of 3. My oldest son Joey is working in real estate. My son Jeremy is a lawyer, and my youngest son Taz is currently completing his BA degree at the University of Manitoba. My husband Wayne is a truck driver, and we reside in Pine Creek First Nation. My educational background is in business, counseling, human resource, and project management. I grew up in Christian ways, but I've also supported my children to attend ceremonies, Sundance, and learn the traditional ways of our ancestors through dance, song, and drum. My family was negatively impacted by the residential school system with the loss of language, culture, and pride, for which we have tried to regain. I can speak and understand my language. My work experience is in First Nation politics and governance within the Indian Act system. As one of your elected officials for the past 6 years, this has been my role. I also worked in areas of business, finance, management, economic development, and child welfare, both on and off reserve locations. After hearing from you, I have listed 3 main priorities that we can work on together for the next term, beginning with healing, education and training, and economic development. If time permits, we can discuss more. Healing. My intention is to build a PCFN treatment facility to assist with alcohol, drug, and gambling-related issues. The facility can offer multi-week residential programming for several members. It can be expanded to service Duck Bay, Camperville, and other communities. Taking the first step to seek treatment is important and difficult. PCFN should be ready on a timely basis to meet the needs of members with trained, certified, and professional staff. This is a very ambitious goal. However, other First Nations have their own treatment facilities, and I believe Pine Creek can do the same. Education and training. I know as a mother how challenging and costly post-secondary education can be. This is why I'm committed to reducing barriers to education for on and off reserve members. I have already taken the lead on a pre-college prep program for students. I believe that students need the right tools as well as to be ready emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually to start new educational journeys. Inadequate funding is clearly a barrier for students. The best way to increase funding is to collaborate with others in developing a Manitoba First Nations post-secondary education strategy. I will continue to represent Pine Creek at strategic planning tables to achieve adequate funding for all students. Along with participating at this Manitoba Regional table, I have participated in the development of Manitoba Regional Education Agreement focusing on additional K-12 funding based on our needs. Economic development. My intention is to implement commercially sound development plans for the Dauphin land for the benefit of on and off reserve members. To that end, I have been directly involved in meetings between representatives of Pine Creek and Dauphin. Those meetings will continue and interested First Nation members will be engaged. Partnering with private businesses is needed for economic development. However, Pine Creek First Nation should only engage and negotiate with legitimate partners. I know firsthand that many business people try to persuade Pine Creek First Nation to accept questionable business ideas. Under my watch, Pine Creek will do proper due diligence and only engage with reputable and ethical business partners, band members preferably. Economic development is for the community at large. Therefore, all business ideas need to be in full consultation with all members. The priorities listed above are for the community. Therefore, I have no problem with other candidates sharing my priorities in their campaign. Other priorities include programming for youth. Now that we have a youth center and a community hall that's going to be coming up soon, sports and recreation, programming for elders. Now that we have a space at the recently constructed Elders Lodge, women's and men's gatherings, and other activities. Most community-based training built upon the Home Builders program, for which I took the lead. We have built 1 new home and trained 10 participants at various trades. The framing program, building 2 homes and training 10 participants. The pre-college prep program and the human resource management program, for which I took the lead on with my staff. The plan is to hold future programs such as healthcare aid and early childhood education. There may be others depending on what you would like. In closing, I will continue to bring all of your ideas, concerns, and questions to the council table, along with sharing your success stories and our community stories, as I have been. We must continue to improve the lives and well-being of our children, families, and community together. Now that the band is in good shape financially, we must move forward in prosperity. Together, we can do this. Keep safe and please continue to follow health and safety COVID-19 protocols. We will get through this pandemic together. In terms of Harley's challenge regarding his commitment to donate some of his salary, I have provided a plaque and an incentive out of my personal funds to a post-secondary and several MAS students for language retention and learning. I will continue this forward. On election day, vote Cindy, hardworking, committed, and dependable. Miigwech.
Wait, I gotta read that again because I guess it didn't go on the microphone like it was supposed to. Okay, so the question is, how will you address conflicts between the chief and council, and how will you ensure members aren't fearful of bringing their concerns forward and experience retaliation?
In my books, there's no retaliation. I will continue to bring all of band members' concerns and questions to the table as I have been. There's no retaliation, and chief and council will have to get together and try to figure out how we can work together in a unified manner.
Okay, and the other question is, what will you do to help off-reserve members?
platform is all about on and off reserve members. There's no distinction in my books, so whatever funding we get, I know some of it is for specifically on reserve, but however, if we can help our off reserve members by accessing resources and to make connections with networks off reserve. But my platform is all about on and off reserve, both.
Okay, and another question is, what about employment? How are you going to bring jobs to the community?
With the buildings that the previous council set up, there was all kinds of jobs here on the reserve. There was the community hall as well as the youth center that was built, and that employed members, as well as the family resource center, the waste transfer station, and the training programs that we held. They are preparing our members to be able to work in various trades in the future. So we've had many infrastructure buildings in our community that has provided employment for our members.
Okay, and the final question, because I don't see any other questions coming through, but the final one will be in regards to the drug problem. I guess people are concerned with the drugs in the community, and they want to know how is it that you're going to be able to deal with that to get them off the community or out of the community.
This is why I'm proposing that we build a treatment center right in the community so that we could help our band members access treatment and help in alcohol and drugs. We also need to provide more healing opportunities for our members. And just like Harley said, it takes a whole community to deal with the drug problem. So we are definitely going to need the help of our members so that we can continue dealing with this problem.
I guess there was one more question. The question is, how will violence and safety be addressed?
Violence and safety, well, that comes with providing healing opportunities in the community. And if we know somebody is being violent in the community, we need to connect them up with resources so that they can take some counseling and they could address those issues. We have local resources here that we can connect them up with so that they can seek the help they need.
Okay, so you got one last one. There's still a couple of minutes left on your speech, so I'll ask you the last question, and after that, if you want to close out your speech, you can, however you want to, and then we'll move on to the next candidate after that, okay? So the final question that I got for you is, will you guarantee that every grade 12 graduate on or off reserve will receive post-secondary funding?
Ever since I became a counselor back in 2015, that was one guarantee I made, that every grade 12 graduate will receive post-secondary funding. And that will carry on until my next term.
Okay, and you can just close out your speech however you want.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I can't compete with Harley's statement there, but he's very energetic. Thank you, Harley. On election day, vote for Cindy. Like I said, I'll continue working hard for you. I'm committed and I'm dependable. Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Cindy Campbell-McKay. That is your council candidate, second one up for the platform's presentation, and another good job there, followed up by Harley. So now the next candidate that's coming in is going to be Randy Moostel. Don't forget, if you guys want to support Cindy Campbell-McKay, you can do so on election day. Hit the X or the check mark under her name, and that's how you get her in. Every vote counts. Don't forget, guys. So the next person coming in to present a speech is going to be Randy Moosetail. You got our new mask, right? Okay, so we got our new mask. We're resetting the mask on the filter. We're wiping down the table. We were going to do that with the first candidate, but I guess it kind of slipped, so that's my bad. And now we're going to make sure that we're doing it all the way through. Somebody was asking me about whether or not this stream is going to be on afterwards. It will be on afterwards. So once we're done streaming it here, it's going to stay on Facebook, and then I'm also going to try to load this up on YouTube within the next couple of days. And that way the members that don't have Facebook can go on YouTube and watch the platform presentations on there. So yes, it will be on there. And yeah, moving forward, somebody said they should live stream. They should live stream meetings like this for the community. Yeah, that's something that's starting to change now. The more and more communities are starting to use online for meetings and that kind of stuff and streaming. So by all means, if they want me to come back here and do something like that, I will. The table's reset. Yeah, and do we have our next candidate in? Cindy? Or not Cindy, we're looking for Randy Moosetail. Gonna bring down Cindy's name here. Table's been reset. And we're just gonna wait for Randy Moosetail to come in and present her speech. And if you guys got any questions that you want to ask Randy, by all means, you guys can ask questions, and then we're going to go back and I'll ask those questions at the end after she presents her platform. And yeah, there's a couple of questions that have been pointed out here from the last candidate. So if there is no questions at that point, then I'm going to go back and just ask some of these questions that have already been asked for the last candidate. I kind of did that also with Cindy, so just so you guys know. And yeah, by all means, feel free to ask questions. If I put a like on your question, that means that that's the question I'm probably going to end up asking, so just so you guys know. And we're going to give Randy some time here. Randy, I apologize. I put Randy with a Y. I don't know why, but it's supposed to be with an I. So my apologies. On the screen, I can see it right now. Yeah, so it's supposed to be Randy with an I. So Randy, you'll have 15 minutes, and then at the end, you'll have some time to answer the questions if there's any questions on there. And once you're ready to start talking, you can start talking, okay?
Good to go now?
Yeah, whenever you want.
All right. Hi everybody, I'm Randy Moosetail. I just want to thank Brendan, Paulette, and the team here for giving us this opportunity to put our platform out there for our people and to answer some questions. I'm Randy Moosetail, for those of you that don't know me, put a face to a name. I'm 27 years old and I'm one of the youngest candidates participating this year. Just a quick introduction. My mom is Paula Moosetail and my stepdad is Randy Richard. My dad is Daryl Smiley Bosha and stepmom Becky Bushy. My grandparents are Lala and George Morrow and Vivian and Tono and Bosha. I lived in Pine Creek all my life, grew up here, and I graduated in 2011 from Minneguzibi Anishinaabe School. I graduated a year early. I got moved up in grade 8. And I went to University College of the North in DePaul in 2013, and I graduated from business admin in 2016. I also finished 1 year of my degree, towards my degree for Bachelor of Business Admin, and I'm currently taking Human Resources Management that was offered through the reserve here with Assiniboine Community College. And I take part-time classes to get my degree again. I was hired in 2017 as a VLT manager, and I upgraded security measures to ensure safety for our community and staff and to prevent robberies. I brought the reporting from monthly to annually because I ensured the VLT money was handled properly. So I'll just start from administrative goals. I want to develop a human resources department to ensure all staff are paid proper wages, issues are addressed fairly, and timely wage increases. Take all business decisions for a vote to membership, let their voices be heard. Ensure funded programs are being completely used up by reporting losses with backup to get more funding from Indigenous Services Canada. Stronger financial control, hire an additional financial clerk to print checks for all departments. And get rid of the Pine Creek membership page that's currently being used and create a public page. Hire a public relations officer, I guess you can say, to work on a newsletter for our elders that don't have access to the internet, or then to utilize the radio too. To have Zoom chief and council meetings, like we could use Teams too, but just to get it out there publicly. And I want to develop policies for each department, include treaty people in Duck Bay and Camperville and funding formulas, work with employees to complete proposals. A lot of our membership are educated in different areas and they could be utilized in this way. And hire a gaming commissioner to ensure fundraisers are licensed, and create a fundraising committee, and apply for funding for more safety officers, develop a hiring committee to ensure fair process. Increase funeral donations to $1,500 and repayable loans for membership, and create junior chief and council. For Jordan's principal, I want to build playgrounds in different areas for the kids, like you could maybe up west, McKay's Point, at the shore here, and extend the basketball court in front of the arena, ensure all medical needs are met on reserve for all kids. Ensure staff are directing off-reserve membership to local Jordan's principal to access funding for extracurricular activities or medical trips and expenses. Hire dance and music instructors, provide instruments, hockey equipment, specialists for speech and vision and hearing. Pay working parents daycare bills, videos for parents, and more for kids with special needs. Ensure everyone is registered for the program in the reserve. And assist with remote learning needs like laptops or iPads. Next is community goals. I want to install light posts along the highways. Like, it's very dark at night and a lot of times we don't see people walking. Very dangerous. To construct a bridge up west, like an idea borrowing from the reserves in BC, like we could construct it and have a toll that has to be paid to cross it, and this way the people up west don't have to worry about people going back and forth all the time. And this way we're making money too. And decrease the speed limit from the S-curve past the school to 50 kilometers an hour. Very dangerous. This is like our city center kind of deal. And we always have a lot of people walking around this area. And I want to help membership purchase their homes, like give them financial boosts that are opening their own businesses too, and develop shelter for people on reserve, and bring minor hockey back to the community, work with Camperville and Duck Bay for emergency response partnership and to cost share for programs, and ensure everyone qualified applies for treaty status to ensure our IRA is helping people in a timely manner. Work with elders to share their knowledge and to give them paid honorariums, not just like $50, but like a good amount that'll help through the month. Like, a lot of our elders are not making that much money and deserve to be paid good amounts. And to repair the Pine Creek Beach and restore Treaty Day activities, even the parades that are currently happening. Wait, my baby. The health, I want to bring the doctor back to the community and utilize traditional medicines and healers working with health transformation, bring services home for mental health. Yeah, you could go ahead. I want to develop a sacred medicine garden, develop a healing lodge and a sweat lodge, hire a health director and an addictions workers, a couple of them, and create walking paths in the reserve to promote healthy living. And the environment, I want to continue with the waste development program that's happening, and to work with Camperville and Duck Bay to utilize the waste station and sustain our environment. To implement recycling in the schools, start the kids young, and they'll teach their parents, like it could be a family activity. And to have farmers dispose of used oil at the waste station here, we could sell it too. That's another way to make money. And on to economic development. I want to extend the Pine Creek Gas Bar to where Chartrons was with 24/7 service, and to apply for advertising on major highways, to direct traffic here because there's no 24-hour services in the area, like Dauphin or Swan. In agriculture, develop community gardens to give our people and to sell to local businesses. We could also get into selling the hay bales. And we could purchase logging and agriculture equipment to proceed with this. And one thing we could do is develop a strawberry U-pick farm. We have a lot of land between here and up west that could be utilized for economic development. And a big thing I want to do is construct an RBC branch in the community to get our people with bank accounts, because a lot of times people can't make the bank, and it'll be much easier for travel expenses and keeping the money in the community. I want to utilize the radio to reach all members. Like, we could sell advertising to local businesses and people. Like right now, if we had it operating, we could have all purchased advertising segments and have our campaigns posted out there, and that would have been another way the band could have made money. And to start having radio bingos ASAP, as soon as I get in until the community hall opens, and issue repayable loans to membership. Develop lots along Lake Winnipegosas for lease and charge land tax for whatever's developed there. And this is another way we could make money, and develop the boardwalk to bring in tourism from the beach to the power grounds. Construct a hotel, motel, create construction crew to build new structures and homes. Like, we have a lot of skilled carpenters in the community. It'd be really good to work with them and to get them all in one crew. And hire our own people with their yard businesses to work in the community, like with snow clearing, and during the summer, like to fix the band office yard here in the arena yard, health office, the old folks home. And to develop on dolphin lands, that we'd have to work with the community to see what they want. A lot of people have good ideas, so it's all a matter of bringing them together and voting on it. And to purchase cattle for the community, and we could utilize and sell to local markets. We could start churning our own butter, milk, and to develop a fish shed for local fishermen so they don't have to go out of town. Housing, apply for proposals with CMHC to repair and construct homes, to put receipts towards rent for the people that fix their own houses, restructure the housing committee to ensure everyone's applications are addressed, install wood stoves and proper ventilation to prevent mold, purchase cabins to turn into homes for single people or like couples with no kids, like the way my cousin Willie did it with his home. We could extend them even, and to work with Tiny Homes Company to bring in houses like that, like I said, for single people or couples. Then education, I want to construct an education building for ACC programs. Like, we brought in a lot of programs with ACC, and it's really awesome for the people because we don't have to leave home to go to school. And to bring in driver's education, like not just for the kids, but for older people too that don't have their license, they could be taught. And utilize Manitoba student aid for those that are not funded. Like, the more we get our own source revenue increasing, we could help, pay for those loans, especially if you're not being funded, because there's been a cap on funding since the 1990s, and I think council, but all the other First Nations have to negotiate on something like that with Indigenous Services Canada. And apply for proposals to send more people to school and utilize our guys with trade certificates, like Red Seals. We could get them to teach our people on reserve. And to work with the community to address Bill 64. And the last 4.5 years, current council did a good job paying off debt for Pine Creek. They moved us forward like a lot, and we have to continue moving forward. And I accepted my nomination because I want to continue to strengthen our community and to include everybody on and off reserve, but to strengthen our own source revenue and to extend our reach to off reserve members to help in different ways. And this is my vision for the community. I want to see a lot of good things done and work with the youth, elders, adults, and Yeah, do you have any questions?
I do.
You do?
There's a few of them. All right, so we got to the question segment, and the first one is going to be, how will you be able to provide emergency services to the community? Would you send anyone out for training for firefighters and policing?
Yeah, we could do that. Like, I know not this council, but last council brought in the ambulance training, EMT. Like, if we had enough people educated on that, we could get them to open an ambulance station out here, because I know a lot of times it takes like half an hour to come in, and we could work with the RCMP. I know like OCN got their own police service, so we could like work from that model and bring in training for people that live on reserve and off reserve that are treaty. And also firefighters. I know there's a lot of local firefighters here, and we got to upgrade our fire station, especially in the last few years we've had a lot of fires. So it would just be working with the community and applying for funding for each community. I know Duckby and Camperville could work with Métis Council, and we could work with Indigenous Services Canada to get the funding and cost share, like I mentioned.
Okay, and the second question that I have for you is, how are you going to help our elders who live off reserve? What kind of financial supports can you help them with as they struggle with rent, transportation, and food while living away from home due to medical reasons? Will this include long-term members that cannot return home when they become elders in the urban settings?
When Audrey and I worked on the bill S3 that's being worked on in Ottawa right now, we included that a lot of elders would want to come home, like, in that we would need more health services. So like I said, we'd have to increase our own source revenue to help our elders off reserve, because I know a lot of them are probably comfortable where they're staying, and like we'd have to maybe even develop like a care home. Like that's just a housing unit for elders. Like, maybe we could develop a care home the way they do in OCN, and to have like nurses in there with our doctor, and it would have to be really worked on. And the only way I can think of it is using our own source revenue to help our people, our elders, and to bring them home. Like, if we put more single people in those tiny homes, it would open up a lot of bigger houses for young couples and that. And we could bring home our elders too if they wanted to stay in those tiny homes, but we'd have to really fix it up to their preference. But what I would really want to work on is a care home, especially for those that are like sick and that really need to come home, really want to come home.
Okay, and so this will be your final question, and then after that you can close out your speech however you want. How will you address lateral violence and bullying within chief and council, staff environments, and community, and dealing with favoritism?
It's a good question. Well, I know one thing I wanted to do when I was working here was to have like a round table with the staff to address issues. So rather than having staff like talk behind each other's back or whatever, to be able to address issues openly. And it's all about having a policy kind of to do with it, but treating your people well, like not thinking that you're better than them or anything. Like, it's just about helping the people and helping your staff, and to not make anyone feel left out, or to, like not address their issues properly. That would be a big part of developing the human resources department, because then it takes away the administrative duties from council, and then it'll have people being addressed, their issues being addressed properly. Like, there was a lot of things that need to be addressed fairly. So, like, one thing we do really need to have is a policy that will address things like that, and to have people come in, to have people get their issues out properly and to address them properly. And I know we go for lateral violence training out in the city and workshops, but I think what we'd really have to do is bring it home and to implement it at the community level, like change the culture and make the people feel included. Like, I know a lot of people get mad when they feel they aren't being treated fairly. So I think it's just about making sure everyone's needs and wants are met. Like, I know everybody has a common want for a community to thrive. So it's just about working with everybody and ensuring their voices are heard.
Yeah, you can close out your speech now if you're done with that answer.
All right, well, thank you for this time and for listening. And my baby had to come with me because my family is working, and I love having the kids around, obviously. And June 29th, vote Randy Moostel on reserve. And June 22nd in Dauphin, June 23rd in Brandon, and June 24th in Winnipeg. I will be your #1 girl. Thank you.
All right, guys. So that was Randy Moostil, Randy with an I, not with an Y. I misspelled her name there, but a great speech by Randy nonetheless. And if you guys want to support Randy come election day, you know where to mark that X and that check mark. Great speech, great vision, lots of good goals in the future there in her mind. So good candidate there for sure. And we're going to move on to our next candidate, but we're just going to sanitize the table, get everything reset real quick. And our next candidate is going to be Angela McKay. And I'm just going to wait for this to get set up there, and then we're going to set up the screen right now while we're doing that. And if you guys are looking to follow me by any chance, my name is Rod Arriagada. There's my name right there on the screen. You can follow me or add me on Facebook. I'm always streaming different things, but if you guys want to maybe hire me for something, an event of any sort where I can come in and help you guys out, just let me know. There's my name on the screen. I'll put it back on there later on too. And of course, thank you for liking and sharing the stream. If you guys did, if you guys didn't, by all means, like and share the stream, because when you guys share, you guys get to reach out more members than I do. So the idea of this is to be able to reach as many members as possible, to be able to hear all the platform speeches that are being presented today. And I was saying earlier that I am going to be streaming this, or not streaming it, but I'm going to be uploading this on YouTube. So if you guys are going to look for that, that's going to be in a day or two from now. You can find us at Turtle Nation Holdings on YouTube. That's our channel, Turtle Nation Holdings. That's where you're going to find the stream. Just going to give it a couple of minutes here. And just gonna get everything set up here. So I want to touch base on this real quick. For the advanced polling, you have one on Tuesday, June 22nd at Super 8 Hotel, 1457 Main Street in Dauphin. That's from 9 to 8 p.m. On Wednesday, June 23rd at the Victoria Inn in Brandon on Victoria Avenue, 3550 Victoria Avenue. That's from 9 to 8 as well. On Thursday, you have it in Winnipeg at the Marlborough Hotel, Churchill's Room, 331 Smith Street. And that's also from 9 to 8 p.m. So if you guys want to go do some advanced polling or vote ahead, that's how you can do it. And this is Angela Chartrand. She's in her seat now. We're just going to get going here. We're going to set up her mic, and then she's going to have 50 minutes to present her speech. And there's a couple of questions that were asked from the last candidate. We're going to move them on to her. I'm going to ask those questions for her. If you guys got any specific questions directed at her specifically, let me know, and then I'll ask that question too. Okay? And you can start anytime you're ready, Angela.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Angela McKay Chartrand. My spirit name is Grandmother Medicine. I come from the Thunderbird clan. I am from Pine Creek First Nation. I live on the reserve with my husband and my children. I have a post-secondary education in early childhood level 2. I'm currently working towards my program management level 3. I was currently working for Jordan's Principal in Pine Creek. I felt that I was limited what I could do for the community. I feel as a counselor, it opens up more doors for me to be able to help the community as whole. I do love my job at Jordan's Principal as it allows me to do a lot for the youth. but I'm ready to take on more and work for the entire community. Over the years, our community had several committees, and I've been a part of the Treaty Day Committee, the Hockey Committee, the Powwow Committee, the Square Dance Committee, Pine Creek First Nation Princess Pageant Committee, the School Committee, Church Bingo Committee, AMA Team, and the Helping Hands. Over the past 7 years, I'd volunteered, worked endlessly to provide resources, events, fundraisers, and support for our community. My best interest is to improve the health of our community. In the last 7 years, I've gotten the opportunity to work with elders, babies, youth, adults, and parents. I built a strong, positive relationship with a great amount of community members. I hope I have their support, trust, and faith that I can be successful in taking on the role of Councillor of Pine Creek First Nation. With being an active member in the community, I'm moderately comfortable with accessing available resources when needed. I have the knowledge on how each program can be utilized and crafted to fit the needs of our people. It is possible to stretch program dollars by applying for grants and proposals to help the cost of resources that can benefit our communities. Applying for these grants and proposals prior to taking money from current programs enables our programs to spend their funds elsewhere. In 2015, I applied for a grant to build community garden beds that were placed in front of the health office. In 2016, I applied for the same grant. The more we applied, the funding went up. In 2019, I applied for a grant to cover the basketball court in the community. Jordan's principal had to cover a small percentage. The large percentage was covered through grants. This allowed Jordan's principal's money to be used somewhere else. I've been off work for 3 weeks so far. I haven't been doing much campaigning. I've made a few Facebook posts and drop-off signs, chatted with with members on the phone, on messages. All the conversations got me thinking, what do we need for our community? I wrote down a list of goals and objectives that I would like to do in the next 4 years if elected. Sports and rec, health, mental health, addiction, committees and meetings, cultural, off-reserve, education, and housing. So I'd like to go over some of those ones. Sports and recreational. I'd like to see more sports and recreational for all ages, from infants to elders. I'd like to see the elders have a monthly event calendar where they can see what activities are available for elders. Some examples are card games, dollar bingos, dancing, sharing circles, healing groups, exercise groups, sewing nights, just a few to mention. With regards of recreational activities, I would mandate that programs work regular throughout the week with our youth and elders to enhance healthy living. Back in 2016, I became chair of the Minor Hockey Committee. Myself and a few committee members had attended 3 Hockey Manitoba meetings. We were trying to bring Hockey Manitoba hockey back to Pine Creek. The first attempt we were declined due to Winnipegos being so close. The third time we went with Dauphin, Gilbert Plains, and Swan River. We were trying to form a Parkland Hockey League, and we were declined. The third time we tried to jump on with Swan River, but Swan River became Park Gizmo, so they've been all in one hole, so we were declined again. 2 years ago, I reached out to 5 different First Nation communities that are close by. We decided we were going to do seasonal sports, hockey, basketball, baseball, and volleyball for youth and adults. It was going to be a round robin where Pine Creek attended their communities and they attended our communities. Then COVID hit. So this is where we had to put all our planning on hold. Hopefully after COVID is done and the numbers go down, we could start opening up again. But we don't need to stop. We can continue right now with practices, training our coaches and refs and umpires, and purchasing sports equipment for our community to use ASAP. For health, I had the opportunity to work with health for the past 7 years. I started with the Aboriginal Diabetes Program, where I came to realize diabetes is a big issue in our community. We have many diabetic community members. I started a community garden in front of the health office, hoping more would catch on with gardening. I hosted free healthy food bingos for our community. Due to the high numbers of diabetes, I would like to see healthier eating at programs, more physical activity for all ages to help reduce diabetes in our community. I also had the opportunity to work with maternal child health program and prenatal nutrition program, where I come to realize there wasn't much programs for infants and new mothers. Throughout the years, the programs have been picking up. They started working together in planning and cost sharing, so there has been more programs being implemented. Jordan's Principle is a new program. I've started working with them in 2017, where I was able to get funding at no cost to Pine Creek, where we were able to get funding at no cost to Pine Creek for approximately 75 iPads and laptops for the community, school-aged children. We help children get service right in our community with speech and language, occupational, physio, and dental. We had hosted camps and evenings and weekends for youth to keep them busy. This got me thinking, why aren't these services available to adults and elders in our community as well? This is one service that I would like to see be offered to all our elders and adults in the community. I would like to see more staffing at Jordan's Principle to be able to run daily programs and keep the kids busy on evenings and weekends, and to be able to open our activities to the siding communities to participate in our events, or to combine programs with Camperville and Duck Bay. I would like to see more drug and alcohol awareness programs for our youth, as they are the next generation. They need to learn. Mental health and addiction. We have our resource center coming along. That should be done soon. Where we will have mental health and addiction resources stationed right from the resource center. The service right now is located in the health office, although the space is a factor for them to be able to do daily activities and meet the needs of the clients. More services will be available once the resource center is open. There'll be more group sessions, individual sessions, life skills, different types of training, food handlers, CPR, first aid, and other interests of the clients. I'd like to see a shelter home built close by the resource center for clients who need 24-hour services. Someone to stay in the home with the individual until they're well enough to be on their own. This unit could be used also as a men's shelter or an emergency temporary home. I think we need to find ways to help our mental health and addiction clients. Committees and meetings. I would like to see a junior council be implemented. One day, our youth will be the leaders of our community. Their views of our community should be heard. They should learn the leadership to lead in a positive way, as someday they'll be sitting at the leadership table making decisions for our community. I'd like to see committees where these members are selected by the community members, not picked by chief and council. The committee will include elders, adults, youth, and off-reserve members. I'd like to see all committees meet monthly in open agenda sessions, minutes, reports available to community members off and on reserve. All committees should be posted on the Pine Creek First Nation webpage and be available for members to see. All agendas, minutes, and reports should be made available on the Pine Creek website page. Pine Creek First Nation events and activities will be available there as well. All band members can participate. There should be no discrimination on place of residency. Cultural. I've noticed more cultural activities in the community within the past 4 years. I'd like to see some more cultural activities happening within the community and in the workplace. I feel that our cultural has been lost and we're getting it back slowly. We need to do Monday smudges and prayers on opening and trainings and activities. Another idea on cultural is Gamblers Point. I'd like to see a big entrance sign when you're pulling into the harbor that says Gamblers Point. I'd also like to see cabins built for youth in that area they can use during cultural camps that would be available to rent during community powwows. I'd also like to see seating around the harbor and confession stands that we can rent out, and a beautiful entrance going into the harbor. I'd like to see powwow planning start in January rather than July. I'd like to see more regalia classes for members to learn each dance and to be able to make their own regalia. I'd also like to see more healing groups and gatherings for elders and residential school survivors. Jordan's Principle has an amazing cultural program. They started the Boys Youth Drum Group. I'd like to see these boys in the community being utilized in the community for special events. Our off-reserve members. I lived in Dauphin and Brandon, Manitoba for several years before moving back home to Pine Creek, so I understand what it's like to be an off-reserve member. Off-reserve members should not be discriminated against because of their place of residency. I started to do some research on services that were available for off-reserve members. I did find that First Nations do not get funding for members who are not living on the First Nation. although there's numerous grants that you could apply for off-reserve members that council could apply for. Looking more and more into this, it was a big task, but it can be done. I thought that it would be great to have a 5th council member that holds the portfolio of off-reserve. If elected, I will continue to look for resources that can help off-reserve members financially. If funds should be distributed, all members will be taken into consideration. My findings came from a website from the Government of Canada First Nation, if you would like to check it out. Education, first of all, I'm going to start by saying let's close the door to Bill 64. If you're not aware of what Bill 64 is, I suggest you look into it. It affects our school, our kids, the next generation. I am a school committee member. I have a grade committee that meets monthly where we get monthly updates from MAS and Frontier. If elected, I will keep my spot in the school committee and keep moving forward with them. I will keep my 2 older children graduated from MAS in 2018 and 2020. I have another child who is expected to graduate in 2022. My youngest is in grade 5 at MAS. Our employment and training is doing an amazing job with new courses they brought into the community. A lot more people are getting certified right here at home. I would like to continue seeing more reserve programs for education opportunities for band members. I would like to see more proposals being done for students with families attending school off reserve. I know from being a student myself that the living allowance they give to students with families is nearly enough to provide for your family. Housing. Housing has been an ongoing issue for years. We are short of houses. We need houses. We have houses that need major repairs. I like to speak from my own experiences with housing. On May 19th, I got a letter in the mail that's saying that all past arrears rents are now void. I paid rent for 12 months and everybody else got their rents void, so I didn't think that was fair. Last week I called housing. My crawl space was backing up. I was told I had to wait a week or 2 for a plumber, and we are still paying rent. My husband pumped out the cellar and we got a lot of water damage. The person on the phone didn't seem to care what my issues were. We took care of it without housing's help, even though they take my rent off my paycheck every month. I do think we need an emergency plan for situations like this. There needs to be an after-hour number to call to get service right away, not a week or 2 later. Everyone's issues need to be valued. Every person should be treated with respect. We need emergency septic water drivers that can be paid according to each emergency. We need to utilize our community plumbers and electricians in case of emergency that cannot wait a week or 2. In closing, I'd like to say over the previous chief and council's term, our community has seen so many positive changes. I'd like to pick up where they left off, working towards improving our community. If not elected as councillor of Pine Creek First Nation, I would happily return back to Jordan's Principal program and continue seeking ways to help our community and members. I'm not running for the title of leadership. I'm running for the opportunities that are available for our community. We need to elect individuals who are willing to devote their time and effort. We need to elect people who know our community's needs, people who can be present at desperate times of need. We need leadership that know how to help and to reach out to resources during difficult times for all members. We need to be active leadership. I would like to thank everyone who believed in me and supported me through the process, who reached out to me and have ideas. I value each and every one of yous. If elected, I'm confident that I can do my best for Pine Creek First Nation. I'm a good communicator and I have integrity for what I believe in. I will take a couple questions.
We do have a couple of questions for you, and we're going to start with the first one, which is, many of our young people do not hold valid certificates in trades and degrees. How are you going to promote education for our members?
Well, like I said, that our employment and training course offers a lot of good resources, and they do post a lot of our trainings. We have our Skills Link program that also provides trainings like first aid, food handlers, those certificates.
Okay, and the next question is, can a building be built for the single or for 18-year-olds or young couples to start off in, like an apartment building, and a local food bank to help people with shortage of food or emergencies?
Yes, you know what, I have been looking into that. I didn't feel confident enough to put it on my campaign yet, but I have talked to somebody about the small houses. They're one-bedroom houses, bathrooms, kitchen, and like a living room area. They are very small. But that is something that did come to mind. I like the idea of it due to a lot of our graduates having to leave the community to find housing somewhere else. There isn't enough space. I do know a few families in our reserve where there's 4 people living in the household. So yeah, we do need more housing, and we need single people housing that will fit the needs of our community.
Okay, and the next question is, how will you create inclusion with on and off reserve members throughout the year?
Well, a lot of you living on reserve know who I am. I've did the community basketball. We've worked in collaboration with Camperville and Duck Bay. We had a good turnout. We had people come in from different communities, not only Camperville and Duck Bay. We had the Paw and Swan River. They were more than welcome. And everything we had, like we provided free Gatorade and water and freezies, and they were open to everybody. We didn't say this was Pine Creek stuff. It was everybody.
Okay, and what do you plan to bring into the community for drug and alcohol addictions? I know you did mention some of it throughout your speech, so maybe just go back on that again specifically.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to build a shelter house next to the resource center where these resources are available. Some people are lacking the resources due to, like I said, there's 4 people in a home. There's 1 person out of 4 wants to stop the drug line, and there's nowhere for them to turn because it's just right there. But if we have this home, this shelter for this individual to be able to come clean, have the support, to be able to have the guidance, to be able to cope and have the skills and have the resources right there for him or her, I think a shelter home would help with the drug and addiction problem in our community.
Okay, and this will be your final question, and after you answer this question, you can close out however you want. The question is, how do you feel about Bill 64 coming to our province?
I feel about Bill 64, I'm not for Bill 64. I like the way it is right now. So being a school committee member, I like it that if there's something that comes up in the school, it comes to us or Frontier rather than going to Winnipeg. That's going to be our issue. What's going to happen if something happens in our school? Like everybody else, we'll be on the phone trying to get a hold of Winnipeg to try and get our situation dealt with. Right now, we have our school committee and Frontier that are working with our MAS school to be able to make it work. After Bill 64 passes, if it passes, we're going to have to go through Winnipeg. We're going to have to wait on the phone for somebody to answer our questions rather than us reach out to the school committee or Frontier. In closing, I'd like to say thank you, everyone. I'm honest, mindful, motivated, accountable. Vote for Angela McKay for council. Thank you.
All right, guys and ladies and gentlemen, that was Angela McKay Chartrand, your council candidate, just presenting her platform. And what a great platform that was too. By the way, I'm not trying to, I guess, somebody mentioned like, hey, watch your words because you're kind of like incenting people to go to somebody else. I'm not. I'm just respecting everybody for their platform presentation. I think everybody took a good amount of time thinking about where they want to go in the community and the direction they're going forward with. And so that's all. I'm just complimenting them. But Angela McKay, another good candidate, another great presentation. If you want to support her, you want to vote for her, you can do so on election day, June 29th, with an X or a check mark next to her name. And our next candidate coming up is going to be June Nipanak. or Nepenak, sorry. June Nepenak. I get it wrong, but June's going to be coming in next, and we're just sanitizing the table and getting everything going. And is she here? She's here. Yeah. She's here, yeah. Okay. So she's going to make her way in at some point, and then she's going to settle in, and she'll begin her speech. And if you guys got any questions for her, you can ask them on here, and then we're going to ask those questions at the end of her speech. All right. And this is June, so we got to get June's name up here right now. All right, June, so you're going to have 50 minutes. You can start whenever you're ready, and then at the end, we're going to ask you some questions. If there's any questions to be asked, if there isn't, then I'll probably ask you some of the older questions that have been asked already. And then after that, you can close out your speech however you want, all right? You can start whenever you're ready.
My name is June Nepenak. Sinikwe is my Anishinaabe name. It means rock woman. I'm running for council for Pine Creek First Nation. I was born and raised here in Pine Creek. I'm married for 17 years. We have 5 children, 4 are grown, and 1 is still at home. We also have 8 grandchildren. We are raising 3 of our grandchildren. I graduated in 2003. I moved to Winnipeg to further my employment experience. I started working at Mama Wichita Center and with Child and Family Services. My employment was with families and children with disabilities. I returned home in 2011 from Surrey, British Columbia. When I returned home, I worked as a janitor for the band hall, Elders Lodge, and Arena. I also worked for the band registry for a few years. Then I worked at Philemon Chartrand School as a custodian. When COVID hit, I stayed home to homeschool my children. This is my dream for our First Nation. I'm compassionate about bringing our band members home. More homes are needed for our band members who are wanting to move back. We get them built by our band members. There is a number of homes that are needed to be renovated due to mold in the walls, plumbing issues, windows and doors not properly insulated. These homes have been on a wait list for a number of years. We are also in need of 1 and 2 bedroom homes for single people and couples. Proper yard and home care. Our homes should have wood stoves in case of emergencies. Our elders should not have to pay rent and utilities. Let's take care of them. They took care of us already. Rent-to-own housing projects where people have lived for years. A health director is needed. We need to take better care of our elders for people with disabilities who need assistance with daily care. Train a family member who can do homemaking for that person. We also would need to help those who struggle with addictions of drugs and alcohol. A healing lodge for our community and our band members would benefit. Get treatment started, sweat, drum groups, pick medicines. We need to heal as a people. We need to bring back our old ways to pass them down to our children and our grandchildren. Grow medicines to harvest locally and teach others how these medicines are used in healing. Education. We need to get funding to raise living allowance as the cost of living has risen for our students who are out of our community. They will have less stress and concentrate more on their studies. Bring more training in for our members. Pay for the hot lunch at MAS instead of families having to buy the food, as we have a lot on social and we don't want to take from them more. Do other means of funding for school trips. Start a trade on the reserve, heavy equipment operator, computer analyst, construction, welding, cooks, healthcare aides for homemakers. Get 2 security workers to work at the school so they could watch for bullying and all the kids could feel safe. Provide childcare near school, make it convenient to attend. Also provide transportation. Economic development. I have ideas to open a tannery, trading post, and craft store. Future development of the Dauphin lands. I also looked into dispensary, how we can get licensed and get revenue from this. We can clean our communities, help our children and our grandchildren. We also need to feel safe in our homes at night, so we should have a few more security officers working night shifts. Have an elder committee. Community gardens and orchards in every yard on our reserve. There is funding available right now. Make it accessible to all band members on our First Nation. Childcare for those who are on assistance. Help mom out, give her a break. That could come from Jordan's principle. A drop-in center for our youth, our children, our teenagers, like have ping pong tables, have pool tables, also have movie nights for the elders, have like free popcorn and beverages. I want our members' voice. I want to be our members' voice when they don't hear you. Let me speak for you for on and off reserve, miigwech. Just a short.
Short and sweet, but to the point.
That's all I gotta be. I'm a person, I could talk better, and this is this.
I think you got to the point. And you're going to have a chance to answer some questions now. Let's see. Okay, how will each candidate ensure all community members have information? Not everyone is on social media, not everyone is considered or consulted. More visits to homes, not just during elections. Wellness checks by phone or home visits to elders and those that need it. Basically, they just want to know how will you ensure that all members receive the information that's going on within the community?
You go around visiting. You go around checking on your elders. Once a week, twice a week. Let them know what's going on. Or even what I said, a elders committee. So the elders are in, like when there's meetings and that, we get their information, their part on, you know.
Okay, and so another question that's been brought up a few times is, what do you plan to bring into the community as far as to deal with the drugs and alcohol addictions?
The Healing Lodge?
Well, they just want to know, what do you plan to bring into the community?
I'm looking in for a tannery, craft store, and a trading post. I'm looking into like a lot of other things too with Dauphin lands, but with the to bring in the revenue for us.
Okay, and they also want to know, will the treatment and addiction centers that you're planning to bring in, or the council and chief are planning to bring in, will they be available to off-reserve members as well?
On and off reserve members. There's a lot of jobs like with that too, the Healing Lodge. We would need counselors and a doctor to come in. Probably Miss Menard would probably come in, Dr. Menard.
Okay, and they also want to know if will you make sure that the members set a mandate if you get elected?
Yes.
Okay, her answer was yes, and we're going to ask one of the older questions because I'm waiting for more questions to come through and they haven't come through yet. Many of your young people do not hold valid certificates in trades and degrees. How are you going to promote education for our members?
There's lots of trades that they hold in Pine Creek already that help them with construction. That's what I was saying, like they need to bring in more stuff for healthcare aides so they could get employment here. They could get their WMIS, is that like one of them? Their WMIS, their first aid, their CPR. They could get all the ones that they already offer in the reserve.
Okay, and then your final question is going to be the same one that we just asked the last candidate. How do you feel about Bill 64 coming to our province?
Bill 64?
Yeah.
I don't think I have a problem with Bill 64. It's just another bill, right?
Okay. And that's, let's see. Yeah, that was the last question. So with that, you can close out however you want to close out your speech now. Okay?
The voting starts tomorrow. I will be in Dauphin on the 22nd, then I'll be in Brandon on the 23rd, and again on the 24th. You can message me through Facebook, and I can give rides to the voting stations. Thank you very much for taking your time out to watch and to ask questions. I hope I answered your questions. Have a good day. Miigwech.
Right on. That's June Nipinak, another one of your council candidates presenting their speech, and she answered your questions. And if you guys are looking forward to supporting her come June 29th, all you gotta do is check out her name right beside the box, put an X or a check mark, and that's how you support her. Great candidate, great speech. And the next person that we got coming in is going to be Arthur McKay, but I'm not sure if he's in the building yet. We're going to take a second to reset our table and sanitize everything and change the filter on the microphone, and then we're going to let him come in and set up for his speech. Great job, June. Like I said again, if you guys want to support June Nipinak, you can do so on June 29th. Vote for June. Next person up, I'm not sure if they're in the building, but it's supposed to be Arthur McKay. And we're gonna find out if he's coming or not. In the meantime, what we're gonna do is they're gonna reset the table and get that all going first before he comes in here anyways. So that'll give me a chance to pop up our commercial. There's our commercial. TurtleNationHoldings.com is our website. If you wanna reach us via email, you can do so at turtlenationholdings@gmail.com. Our address and phone number are on there. Our mission and services, we ensure our clients that we provide a professional level of service for your projects. And we specialize in project development, waste management services, First Nation electoral and referendum services, administrative and management services, assistance in the administration of capital projects or expenditures. And we're going to touch on the advanced polls. Somebody was just mentioning that. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow, Super 8 Hotel, 1457 Main Street in Dauphin, Manitoba from 9 to 8 p.m. On Wednesday, June 23rd in Brandon, 3550 Victoria Avenue at the Victoria Inn from 9 to 8 p.m. And the last advance poll is on Thursday in Winnipeg, June 24th at the Marble Hotel, Churchill's Room, 331 Smith Street. So if you guys want to get out and vote ahead of time, that's how you do so. If not, then we'll see you guys on June 29th for Election Day. Table has been reset and our candidate is here. Arthur, whenever you want, you can just come get comfortable in your chair, and then we're going to set you up and then you can start your speech. After you're done your speech, whether you take the full 15 minutes or not, we'll ask you a couple of questions and then you can close out your speech after that. Okay, you can go ahead whenever you want.
Start? Ready?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, band members, community members, elders. My name is Arthur McKay, a Pine Creek band member. My Indian name is Wapshkajem Ishtadim Mogididawninij Dikas Makwedu Utam. I'd like to send out my condolences from my family to the Bushies, the Nipinaks, and the Catchways, who just had some death in the family. Also like to thank the people that are participating in this process right now. I'd like to talk a little bit about myself. From Pine Creek, my parents are Irene and Joseph McKay. I have four sisters, 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, 3 grandchildren, granddaughters. I've been married to my wife now for going to be 40 years. And there's a few things I'd like to talk about. You know, I've been talking a lot lately about my healing journey in the community. We talked about sweat lodges. I was gifted a sweat lodge in for the community. I run a lodge. I last worked at Dauphin Jail in Nepal, doing the culture work, counseling, sweat lodges, the teachings, pipe teachings, medicine wheel, a lot of one-on-one counseling. So here are some of the things I'm going to be talking about this afternoon, some point form housing. You know, we need to develop a lot of housing for our community members, and talking with off-reserve members also, you know, there's concern about housings in the cities. Band members are asking, you know, if there's any programs where they could get assistance in buying houses. So that's one of the things I said I'd look into, you know, is help people develop and to build their own house, you know, in Dauphin, Brandon, Winnipeg, Portage, you know, down the road. You know, I think with a lot of hard work from the chief and council, I think these are some of the things that could happen. You know, housing is always an issue for First Nations. You know, when we talk about how we're going to do it, you know, when we, right now with the COVID, our VLTs and tobacco and stuff are pretty slow. So we have to think of different ways of generating different revenue from different areas, you know, and we talked about our land development in Dauphin, you know, and there's lots of ideas, you know, we have to bring that to the people. We've been paying for that land now for, well, I heard it's been paid off. We've been sitting idle on that land for the last 9 years. So I think the community has to decide what we want on that land, what we want built on that land, where we can start generating new money to help us with all these projects that we want to present our community members. We talk about our infrastructure, you know, our highways, water treatment plant. You know, that one place I was working, I seen them buy a bunch of solar panels, you know, for their health office to cut the cost down on the buildings, you know, and I think that's something that needs to be done here in Pine Creek. You know, we have a new Elders Lodge, a hall, arena, Jordan's principal, the band office, you know, so solar panels I think is a good idea to help cut a lot of these costs. And we talked about employment, you know, building houses back on the reserve, bring the jobs back to the people, where the people are going to build the houses, not bring them in, you know, develop a lot of jobs here, keep the money in the community. You know, you look at MMF, they have a very successful project where they cut wood for all their members. So we could do the same thing here in Pine Creek. You know, we're surrounded by the forest, you know, develop a project like that. And we have a lot of buildings, you know, we could put out those outdoor furnaces to cut costs again for all these buildings. You know, we talked about helping our elders, you know, if we provide heat and cheap energy for them, you know, that's ways we could do things. You know, our recreation has been in operation for quite some time. Our building, we have a new building here, a new hall. Not only hockey, but help with basketball, volleyball, figure skating, a walking track, you know, where the elders could also use that. You know, we have a health building there where the staff could help the elders get into programs, you know, and keep them busy and healthy, you know. And we have a dietitian come and help set up good programs for our elders, and not only our elders, but our people that are have diabetes. Diabetes seems to be pretty high in our community. So we talk about different things. Water plant. I'd like to see a water plant up in where they developed a new building by the church there. You know, we had a water treatment plant there at one time. It's got the holding tank. It's got the water line to the school, from the old school to the lake. So work on things like that to help, so we don't have to depend on the water trucks, you know, all the time, where we have to clean our tanks and make sure the water trucks are clean and do stuff like that, you know. And I talk to a a lot of people. You know, our lake this year's been really good fishing, and last year, you know, build a nice marina here in Pine Creek, you know, and because when we go to Lake Dauphin, we always seem to be threatened in a fight with the people from Dauphin when we go to practice our rights up there on fishing. But our lake is huge, you know, we could create a lot of employment, you know, there's a lot of opportunity here, you know, the fishing is good, hunting, you know, we have a very big lake. We talk about the education, our school. You know, the Palliser government is talking about doing away with frontier, so I think the community has to come together to have a plan in place, what we need to do and where we're going to go with our kids, our staff. Have a good plan in place, you know. With our building, we have a new school that was built a few years ago. You know, it could be utilized in the evening for programs. So we have to look at different things that needs to be done pretty quick. We talk about transparency, you know, and, people want to see what's happening here at the band office, you know, not only band members, but band members off the reserve, you know, they're always asking questions, you know, they're not informed when things are happening. You know, band meetings, you know, I agree, we should have more band meetings, you know, televised, you know, through the computer, you know, FaceTime and Zoom, stuff like that, where everything is brought out, not hidden, you know. And when I talked about housing too, you know, put out a list where you are on that list, you know, and to keep things fair and equal for everybody, not only the band members but also the members that are off reserve. Treat everybody the same, to be treated with respect, you know, too. Listen to everybody's opinion. You know, everybody's opinion helps, you know, and we talk about health. You know, there's a lot of programs at the health office. You know, we need to help with COVID. You know, a lot of people are talking about a lot of mental health issues. People talk about when they phone, who can they phone to talk to, you know, when there's crisis. You know, people from Winnipeg like to talk to a community member or a leader when things are happening. You know, and when they phone health links, they're put on hold for hours and hours, and you know, they're not shown the same respect, you know, that you'd get from an Aboriginal person, you know, the same. So we have to look at different things, how we do things today, you know, with COVID. You know, I think there's a reason why this thing is around, you know, to bring us back to the land. You know, the things that we need to do is spend time with our families, you know, and outdoor activities, you know, and but everything will fall in place, you know. The previous chief and council did a good job, you know, in moving forward. And with the next leadership, I think, you know, whoever is elected, you know, and that's why I'm running. I want to continue to move the band in a good direction, you know, and help any way I can, you know. And we talk about policing, you know. There's a new police force that came into its Manitoba policing, you know. It's an option, you know. The community wants to go in that direction here to help out our peacekeepers that we have right now, you know. It's a tough job because I did it for 29 and a half years in Pine Creek, you know. That was one of my jobs here was a band constable, and as a fire chief, we talk about fire protection, you know. We do need to get a new fire truck, you know. For the last 25 years, we just had a small little truck. But we have individuals that are trained, you know, that are off the reserve that could come and help run these programs, you know. Our fire department, our emergency planning, you know. I helped develop the pandemic plan for Pine Creek back in the 90s, and also helped West Region develop their pandemic plan. and their emergency planning. So all these things we talk about are still happening today. You know, we need to improve them. We talked about the drugs in the community, you know, and I think what we have to do is provide a lot of programs, support for the individuals, you know, and create employment for the guys that are, the people that are selling drugs, you know, give them that opportunity to work. You know, when we talk about bringing back the doctor, you know, and building our own clinic in Dauphin too was one of my ideas, you know. This way we can control, you know, the doctors that we hire, you know, the drugs, the amount of drugs that are given to our people, you know, and a safe house, you know, meth is going to be here. That drug, it's very powerful. I've seen it in other communities. You know, we have to develop a plan, you know, safe houses, safe buildings for them to do their stuff, you know, and not drop these needles all over and where it's unsafe, you know. We have a health office there, maybe a room we could use or build a building. But programming, we need a lot of programming and follow-ups and support, you know, for people with these addictions. You know, we have to provide help and not give up on them, you know, because they have families. And maybe, you know, this will cut down the drug use in our communities. So we talk about a lot of things. Well, I talk about a lot of things that are needed, you know, and with your help, you know, on this campaign, you know, I think I could move a lot of things forward, you know, with your support and a lot of these issues, because, you know, I'm very outspoken, and, you know, I'm not afraid to do demonstrations or protests. You know, I think that's what we need to make this government pay for what, you know, our people are going through. You know, we have to lobby, not be afraid to lobby, and, you know, our health service, our taxis, we can't get sick after 4, you know, our people, you know, once they go to Dauphin or to Swan by ambulance, they're left there, they're stuck. Same thing on the weekends, you know, our taxi services. We should be able to take our people in the evening, our children, our elders to the hospital. You know, when the ambulance comes here, it's a $800-900 charge to our member, and it's a one-way ride. You know, we have 5-6 taxis in the community. We have drivers. You know, why not? Why can't we use them? You know, so these are the things I would like to bring up. You know, and if I'm elected, you know, my voice, you know, and I'll be a voice for the people and not be afraid to speak on your behalf. Like I said, you know, it's we're going to have to do a lot of fighting if we want to continue to move forward. But I guess my time is up. Is there any questions?
Was one new question, and that one is, what do you think about creating a 7 generations plan for our nation?
Well, I think it's important that we create stuff, you know, with our planning, with the residential school and the 60 school, you know, and like we should be helping our children at the school, you know, learning about their culture, their identity, for the community and the members that are off reserve. You know, we have to look at all the resources in different areas, you know, and help our people find their voice and their identity to follow this way.
Okay, and the next question is, many of our young people do not hold valid certificates in trades and degrees. How are you going to promote education for our members?
Well, like I said, really, when you talk about education, you know, we have a high school here, we have a trade, we have buildings there that could do like mechanics, woodworking, hairdressing, you know, we have a lot of people in the community, teachers that have these, you know, we could hire them in the evenings to do trade schools, and also bring in different resources to help the community members that want to further their education, and not only on the community but off the reserve too. We have to look at when we have programs to make it fair, you know, have the same opportunity for the members in Winnipeg, Dauphin, and Brandon, you know, where they're able to take these courses.
Okay, and the next one is, speaking of off reserve members, how will you create inclusion with on and off reserve members throughout the year?
Well, see, we have meetings, you know, and send out information to them, and current information, you know, for having a staff meeting or a meeting in the community, you know, if there's jobs, you know, and we're going to go through like Zoom, FaceTime, you know, and ask for their input also, you know, to see what they think, because they live off the reserve, and they know what it's like, the hardship that they face every day, you know, for like to pay their rent, to feed their family, you know, and things that we don't see, you know, and we have to start working with them, you know, to bring new ideas to how we could help one another, on reserve and off reserve, you know, and to share. We have a radio station, you know, and put out that information, you know, have our meetings on the radio, you know, where people that can't make it to the meeting, and especially with COVID, you know, everybody is aware, you know, and we're even, you know, buy some airtime with NCI and use that, you know, as to get a hold of our community members.
Okay. Another question. How do you plan to deal with the drugs and alcohol addiction in the community?
We have to look at the bigger problem, you know, the doctors, we have to try to control what's happening, you know, if we had our own pharmacy is another thing, you know, and the doctors that we have, you know, make sure that everybody's on the same page, you know, that the prescription drugs that they issue are limited, you know, not where they could go to Dauphin, Swan River, Winnipeg Oasis, you know, people go all over looking for more pills. And like I said, you know, we have to create employment for the people that are selling the drugs, you know, give them that opportunity for a full-time job and education, you know, and programs. Because it's tough, you know, not everybody, you know, in a small community like this will get a good job, you know, but if we create a lot of these jobs I talked about, you know, at least it's a start.
In correlation to the same question, what would be the actual plan to stop the drug problems in the community, to keep the drugs off the reserve altogether?
Well, it'd be a toughie, but you know, it could be done, you know, with the community involvement, you know, have community meetings, meet with the people that are selling the drugs, you know, and bring in a police force, like I said, to help our two guys here right now, you know, and control the traffic, you know, late at night, you know, have a lot of stops, you know, police stopping the vehicles, and programs again, though. Also, I need to go back to programs, you know, like I said, I worked in Dauphin and Nepal, and you know, I talked to a lot of the members, inmates, you know, and it's all to do with programs and treatment, you know, to develop a good treatment center and a long-term treatment for our people, you know, not 21 days, you know, it has to be a long-term, and have that support for that family that's going for treatment, you know, that are involved with the drug, you know, and awareness, you know, have a lot of workshops for the individuals the effects, how it affects the family, the cousins, the kids. But treatment centers, I think, is the way what we have to develop for our people.
Okay, and so this is going to be your final question, and after that you can close out however you want to close out. The last question is, how do you feel about Bill 64 coming into our province?
Bill 64, I haven't really followed up on that. I'd have to read up on it, and sorry about that, and like I said, I'd have to do a little bit of research on it, and my apologies to the people, for not having any information or a response to that question.
That's okay, man. I don't even know what Bill 64 is right now. I just heard about it, but it seems like the community is really concerned with this. That's why I was asking, right? You can go ahead and close out your speech however you want then, sir.
I'd like to thank the people for giving me this opportunity to speak this afternoon, and I'd like to thank everybody, for this process, that we're going through right now, and I'd like to thank the guy that's doing the live feed right now, for him and his friend to go home safely at the end of the day, back to their home fires, and to Paulette here and Brenda also, they've been sitting here all day, send out prayers to the community, and for the families that lost their loved ones, and hopefully I'll get to do a little bit more campaigning in the next few days, and with COVID, it's pretty tough. Miigwech.
All right, guys. So that's Arthur McKay, your other council candidate, presenting his platform speech. Some great answers, some good platform thinking there. Good job. Minus the Bill 64, which I didn't know either, so we're okay on that one. I know there's a detailed answer about what Bill 64 is, but it's a little bit too long, so I didn't want to get into it, man. But a good job. So if you guys want to support Arthur McKay come election day, you can do so just by checking out the name, put an X or a check mark next to his name, and that's how you support him. You can vote for him in the next 3 days at advance polls, or you can come back here and do it in person on June 29th, which is election day. Excuse me. Good luck to you, Arthur, and thank you for your platform speech. Our next person that's coming in is going to be a chief candidate, and that's Bert McKay. And we're just going to reset the table. We're going to sanitize it, change the filter on the pop filter, and that way make sure that everything is good and safe for the next candidate as well. And yeah, we're going to keep moving forward, guys. So we got another candidate coming in. We're going to reset that, and let's see. Well, let's do a Turtle Nations commercial. Yeah, let's do that for now. Give it a couple of seconds while they reset the Still cleaning the table. Take a moment right now to wish every one of you a happy Aboriginal Day. I hope you guys are having a great day today, first day of summer. And well, it didn't really start like a first day of summer, but it looks like it's clearing up that way right now. So hope everyone is enjoying their day so far. If you guys want to follow us on YouTube, or you guys want to subscribe to our channel, we are Turtle Nation Holdings. That's where we're going to see this specific recording. It's going to be uploaded on there within the next day or two. And as soon as it is uploaded, though, I'm going to go onto your guys' group or page, and I'm going to make sure I make an announcement with the link on there, so that way you guys can share it to those that may not have social media, who may not be on Facebook. It's another way to reach more of your members to be able to see the platform speeches that have been put up here today. And so we're ready? We're good to go? All right, so this is going to be Bert McKay, and he's a chief candidate. So we're going to get that set up on the screen right now. There it is. And we'll pop up the banner on the left. Just a reminder for all you guys that Election Day is June 29th, starting at 9 o'clock until 8 p.m. So if you guys want to come in and vote in person, you can do so on June 29th. If you have a mail-in ballot and you're trying to get that in on time, you have only until June 23rd to get that in. So I would be on that right now today if I was you. Other than that, we guys can do advanced polling stations, which are, there's 3 of them coming up tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and then of course the day after that, and then live on June 29th. So this is Bert McKay. We're going to give him 50 minutes to present a speech, and after that, sir, we're going to ask you some questions if there's any questions. If there isn't any new ones, I'll ask you some of the old ones that have already been asked, and then you'll have a chance to close out your speech however you want.
Okay. Good evening, or good afternoon, I should say, band members and viewers that are looking in. My Anishinaabe name is Wabishke Sorry about that, it's kind of a long name to say. It means white buffalo warrior in English. And my clan system is the Makade Maingan. Kind of hard to say, but I'd like to say, first of all, good day, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bert McKay, and I have lived on Pine Creek First Nation. I have lived here for the majority of my life. My partner and I have 3 children and 18 grandchildren, and they all reside here also. I accepted my nomination for Chief of Pine Creek First Nation. I did not take this nomination lightly. I gave it a lot of thought before my decision to run. I commend the previous leadership for an excellent job in moving our First Nation in the right direction. Being a leader in a First Nation is not an easy job. You have to be committed to the First Nation and its members. I have sat at the council table many times over the years with past and current leadership. If elected, I want to continue to move the First Nation forward. All of the new infrastructure is great, and we need to bring in more. I have listened to many members of what they feel we need here, and I hope to bring them here also. In regards to housing, home ownership, more housing, etc. In regards to health, a personal care home is a must. Many times I've heard about this one. It would be great to keep our elders here at home where they belong. We also need our own treatment center to help our people. I guess many counselors that are running for candidacy have been explaining all this. We also need spaces for the youth, the young ones, and our teenagers. We need more opportunities for the young adults to have employment or more resources for training in the trades they seek. I would also, along with council, get into talks with our neighboring communities of Duck Bay and Camperville to come to a common understanding as to who we are as a people, meaning family, and how we can come and work together for the betterment of our respectful communities. We are all related in one way or another, and thus we should look after each other in that sense. I know funding, whether it's federal, provincial, or local, will play a factor, but we are a resilient people and will find a way to overcome these barriers. We must not forget about our members who reside off reserve also. Jurisdiction plays a major role at how they are looked at. The federal and provincial governments do not know who is responsible for them in that sense of funding. But they have the right, they have that treaty right as members of a First Nation. We as the elected leaders of Pine Creek First Nation will have to hold one or both governments accountable to the fiduciary obligations the Crown had with our ancestors through the treaty signing processes. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the governance structures our First Nations as a whole right across Canada are under. I want to touch up on this topic for a bit. There are 2 kinds of Indigenous governance structures, but Canada has listened to just one. There's the system required by the Indian Act. The Chief and Council, which is based in colonial law and was imposed rather than adopted,
it is not universally recognized by the indigenous people. The other is the traditional system, a governance model that varies from one nation to the next. So what I'm talking about here is that every First Nation, if they have their own governance model, is slightly different, but the principle is basically the same. It is not beyond reproach, and in some cases it may need to be adjusted to reflect the capitalism world of today. But if it is our traditional way, it has sophisticated checks and balances, and it has been in use since before Canada claimed sovereignty. Pine Creek passed a governing structure back in 2004, May 31st to be exact. There was 4 components in this governance document. One was the Constitution and governance regulations. 2 was the election code, which it did not pass. 3 is the membership code. 4 is the finance and administration code. I would like, along with council, to visit and re-examine the mock governance documents to bring them up to date. The election code will also be brought back to life as it was being worked on a while back. So with that being said, the election code was not passed back in 2004, but I guess past council and the present and the previous council, I guess the current council, were working on this election code. But for some reason, I guess it went off rail. So I want to bring it back and get the band membership to actually look at it along with the council. In this governing package, it's the members who decide on what needs to be added, deleted, or amended as we go along, as it should be. These programs is as follows within the structure. 1, you will find the economic development. 2, you will find recreation, culture, and heritage. 3, there's the land and trust, which means land management. Justice system is another one. Health and social services. Capital, which means public works and housing. And education and early childhood. If elected as chief, I will ensure to the best of my ability that the leadership will be accountable, transparent, and lead with integrity for the First Nation as a whole. In closing, I'd like to say, Kichimiigwech for taking this time out of your day to listen to our speeches, the council that are running as candidacy, and I as the first chief, I guess, and wishing every candidate the best of luck in the upcoming election. Thank you.
All right, so I do got some questions for you. Well, I'm going to start off with the last one that was asked. There was a new question for the last candidate. What do you think about creating a 7 generations plan for our nation?
Well, the plan, I guess, for me as an elected chief, I guess if I do get elected, the plan would be to involve our community in the process. And by me saying that, they'll kind of put a mandate to us how the community should move forward for the next generation. And at the same time, me as an elected chief, I'd like to mentor our younger generation at being successful leaders in the future, because this is our membership we are talking about as a whole. And these young upcoming leaders are going to be the ones that will be taking care of us. So that's the way I look at the next generation of leaders.
Okay, now here's another question. Everyone talks about spending money and bringing programs to the community. How do you plan on bringing in revenue to the reserve? I always hear that Pine Creek only gets funding for on-reserve members. I understand that. Do you think if Pine Creek had more revenue coming in that you would be able to support off-reserve members?
Again, I'd like to refer back to the members in that perspective. Revenue is going to be generated by the band itself, right? So they got to set up structures that will bring in band revenue for the community. And when I say the community, I mean memberships that are on and off reserve. Tourism would be a big main attraction, as it would employ on and off reserve members, and that would probably generate most of your income based on investments put into the First Nation, whether the structures are going to be built on reserve, which is probably a good idea based on tax purposes. We'd bring in outside entities to actually come and build stuff here so our First Nation can invest in these structures and have a cost-sharing portfolio with these entities.
All right. Now, the next question is, with the current chief and council staying out of conservatorship, and I never heard of this term before, what are you going to do to continue to keep our reserve independent from a third party? The thought of being in conservatorship, again, would set back Pine Creek years. I'm not even sure what that term is, so.
The way I understand the question, I guess, is to stay away from co-management or third parties. Is that the question?
Yeah, that's basically what we're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the one thing I guess I can address in that capacity is to stay away from third party. We have to limit our spending over expenditures that don't relate to the good and betterment of the community. And when I say that, that's using money where you're actually throwing it away for whatever reason it is. That money should be geared towards, say, your infrastructures, capabilities of your First Nation. And that being said, that could relate to housing, that could relate to separate entities being brought in for investment purposes.
Okay, your next question is, what is your position about management, responsibility, sustainability now and for the future?
Well, to that capacity, I'm going to refer back to the Indian Act as the way the First Nation is being run, not only Pine Creek, but right across Canada. The federal government, funding-wise, doesn't necessarily give you the amount of funds you need. Under our own governance package, we can actually separate these entities where they can actually gain access to capital money. And when I say that, we empower these programs, whether it's housing, whether it's health, whether it's education, so they can actually deal with lending institutions to gain more access to dollars. And the First Nation itself, which I mean by chief and council, can back these entities.
All right, and so I got, I guess, one final question for you, and then you can close out your speech however you like. And I've been asking everybody this question specifically because I realize that a lot of us don't even know what this is, but some of us do, and then some people have opinions, some people don't. But the question is, how do you feel about Bill 64 coming to our province?
The first time I heard Bill 64 was maybe a couple of days ago, and it refers to, I guess, the education part of it. To me, to my understanding anyways, and to me personally as a band member, I kind of want to debate on it, and as a whole, I'd involve the band membership, whether this is which direction they want to go with this education process. I know Frontier is here, but if it goes provincial, like, is that a good idea for the band members? And it ain't for me to decide as a chief at that direction to be taken. I'd let the band members decide if it is a good decision or if they have other options that we could follow.
Okay, and now you can go ahead and close out.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. You know, it's not easy sitting up here actually, but then again, it's something I'm gonna have to get used to. And working with band membership, I want to work with the band membership, whether they're on and off reserve. I know we can come into terms with our members that are living on both sides of this colonial line, which is the reserve. We are as one people, and we will work together as one people. So our common understanding will be united, and if we have to cross one line to get to the other, so it'll be. Thank you.
All right, guys, so that's your chief candidate, one of the first ones to come on today and present their platform. That's Bert McKay. Good job, Bert. Thank you. And if you guys want to support Bert McKay come election day, all you got to do is check off his name right next to the box, put an X or a check mark, and that's how you get him in. Definitely got some good planning, some good vision moving forward in the future here. And the reason why I keep asking about Bill 64 is because I, for one, don't know anything about it. And some of you candidates may not be aware about Bill 64. And just by asking that question alone, it's allowing us to get more people to kind of look into it and be aware of what Bill 64 actually is. So that's the main reason why we asked that question, or why I'm asking that question today. But yeah, so we're going to move forward. Our next candidate coming up is Beverly, is it Cody? Okay, Beverly Cody. And she's going to be doing her platform via Zoom, but we're still going to, reset the table and get it all cleaned and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're going to go right into that right away. So just a quick reminder real quick about the polling stations. Advanced polls tomorrow, Tuesday, June 22nd, Super 8 Hotel, 1457 Main Street and Dauphin, Manitoba from 9 till 8 p.m. On Wednesday, June 23rd at the Victoria Inn, 3550 Victoria Avenue, Brandon, Manitoba. That's also from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. And the last one is in Winnipeg on Thursday, June 24th, Marble Hotel, Churchill's Room, 331 Smith Street, also from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. And we're just waiting to get everything set up here on a Zoom meeting. And then as soon as we get that going, then we're going to have Beverly come on. And I'm going to set up the screen in the meantime. And if you guys are wondering about me, well, I'll put it up here in the middle, I guess, so you guys can see my name. My name is Rod Arriagada. Well, I'll put it over here so you guys can see it on this side right there. My name is Rod Arriagada. If you guys want to add me or follow me on Facebook, you can do so. I'm constantly streaming different events and going from community to community. But if you guys want to check us out as a whole, Turtle Nation Holdings, you can check us out on YouTube. And is she ready? Not yet?
Can you shut the light?
Yeah, can you shut the light for us, please? She's just joining in, so we're going to get our name on the board, and we're going to get on the screen here. And the mic, remember the mic to the system? Just going to wait for Bev to join in, and then she's going to have, well, there she is, she's getting on right now.
Hi, are you there?
It's going to...
Okay, we're just getting the mic.
Just getting the microphone set up so we can hear a little bit clearer. This is on a projection screen, so the quality of the picture is a little bit less than what we were watching so far. And now we're just going to make sure that we get the proper sound. So Beverly's going to have, Beverly, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to have 15 minutes to present your speech. And after that, if there's more time, which there will be, I'm sure, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. And after you answer those questions, you'll have a little bit of time to close out your speech as well. All right? And you can start whenever you're ready. I'm going to turn up the volume here and get you going.
Okay. Can I start now?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, kokums, shoms, moms, dads, children. I'm here today. I'm running for chief, as you are all well aware. I'm happy to have been set up on this Zoom to let me have my speech. Thank you, Paulette. Thank you for all the helpers that you have there. But I just wanted to say to the people, I know this is a very big job that I'm asking you to choose me for. I pondered on it even after I accepted my nomination, because I know it's a big job, because you hold everyone in the palm of your hand for every decision that you make when you're a chief. because I was there before as a counselor for many, many years. And I know that most times you're the one that's listened to as a chief, not the council. Even ISC, as they're now called, at that time they were called INAC, or even a lot of the other venues that we worked for. We could never do anything without the chief's signature. But today, it's 2021. Things have changed. People have changed. And I guess I'm here to tell you what my platform is, what I want to offer you. What I want to offer you is me for 4 years. A lot of you people know who I am, and you know that I'm a strong advocate. You know that I have a strong voice. You know that I will be a strong leader for you. My family, I came from a big family. My dad is Paul Mostel, as a lot of you know. My mom is Catherine Mostel Nee Descharme. Just a minute, I'm plugging my phone, and sorry for that. I thought I had it all plugged in. But yeah, so I came from a hard-working family. There was 14 of us kids in the family, and we worked very hard. My dad had cattle and horses, and once in a while we had pigs and chickens, and we also had a big farm. So we worked really hard as kids, so I know what hard work is all about. I've worked for all my life. I started working when I was 15. I started working as I worked for my sister-in-law because she got hurt at one time there, and so I cleaned up for her. So I started getting paychecks at that time, and so forth and so on. I've worked since that time, and I'm still working today. My current job right now is working for Nikawi Health here in Paginawagan. I work as an administrative assistant to Home and Community Care Program. And I know there's a lot of monies in that too, because I upload the ESDRT that's uploading the, how do you say that? The things that the healthcare aides do on a daily basis, and that's how the funding is sorted out by FINIP. So anyways, enough about that. I guess the other thing I want to tell you is that every decision that I make as a leader, if chosen, affects everyone. So therefore, the backbone and the strength comes from the people, you people of Pine Creek, and our people that live off reserve. I will use you people as my backup, because you guys are going to make the decisions as what's going to happen in the First Nations, because who better knows what's needed than to have that everybody's voice heard. That makes for a strong community. My platform for this 4 years is going to be, I want to really look into the healing part. Well, not strongly, but slowly, because our people didn't get hurt overnight. Our people have been hurting for a long, long time. So it takes a long, long time for people to heal. You know, you do it indirectly, you do it directly. But I was listening to some of the campaign speeches, and you have very strong council members there that have very good ideas. And I've heard some of the questions where you're asked, well, what are you going to do about the lateral violence? What are you going to do about the drug abuse and alcohol abuse and the violence and whatever comes with whatever we suffer with? And And I guess that's my platform. That's what I really want to work on. And everything will come hand in hand, you know. The more you heal, the more everything looks brighter. And you know, we get a lot of money in the First Nations for healing. We have that BFI, ADI, you have now Jordan's Principle, you know, and other fundings that we need to sit down, because a lot of times we how do you say that? We do the same things over and over again. We need to expand on that and go further. You know, we have a lot of people out there, even on reserve, but out there, a lot of our people, we need to recruit those people and bring them back to help us with the vision that I have, and along with you people. I guess that is what I want to do. If you elect me as chief. The other thing I want to tell you people, I will not micromanage, and micromanage means like not looking over every technician that was hired to do our jobs, but I will make sure that I, how do you say that, overlook it, make sure things are running smoothly, make sure people are getting the service that I need. The other thing that I would like to say, and sometimes it's not the fault of anybody, but I haven't lived on reserve for a while now, and when I went home for some services and I had talked to some people, I really felt very even though I'm a thick-skinned, strong-voiced people, I didn't really care for the way that I was received as a band member, even though I don't live off reserve. But, you know, I was raised in Pine Creek. I lived there most of my life. And, yeah, so I really feel for some of the people that have to live there and have to want to ask for help, maybe sometimes on a weekly basis. You know, you shouldn't be afraid. There's no reason for people to be afraid. But along with healing, you know, those things will start to get better. Because, you know, with that, a lot of understanding. Because, you know, us people, sometimes that's the only way we could bring something out that concerns us or that we need in the home, or is to make ourselves mad first. Because that's the only way we can bring our concerns out or talk about what we want. But you know, that's the understanding that our people in the office that work have to have. So that's the education that we're gonna bring there. It's not you personally, it's just the way some of us know how. And you know, as time goes on and as we start this healing, it will get better. And I guess that's one of the things that I wanted to bring out to you people today. And the other thing that I would like to look at is oh yeah, and we have to start allowing our people to speak out. You know, we have to quit this oppression of, oh, you said this to me and now I'm gonna hold a grudge on you. No, it ain't gonna be like that. Every person has a right to speak out for their concerns. You cannot be holding a grudge, especially our people that work at the office, our counselors. You have to be thick-skinned, and that I tell you, I'm thick-skinned. I worked for Child and Family for 26 years. I was spit on, I was called a effing Indian because I worked for the town of The Paw, and I got the door slammed on my face, but nope, I had to keep going. And I did. I didn't go home and wallow in my sorrows. You just keep going. And that's what we need in the First Nations, is a strong person. Well, not to a point where you don't have feelings. And I will continue to lobby and negotiate for all the great work that the last chief and council have done. And yeah, keep negotiating. And I was also thinking about the off-reserve I have lived off reserve for a while, but I've been lucky that I work, my partner works, so actually there was never a real need. I did in the beginning ask for some help, and yeah, it was kind of hard, and there was one time where me and my ex-husband were in a hospital and my kids were there, and he had a hard time getting a room, and I was in no shape to speak on his behalf, but that shouldn't happen, because we're all in one, we're all Aboriginal, we all belong to Pine Creek. And that's the other thing too, is I know one counselor has touched base on this, where there should be somebody on call all the time for health, for housing, for water, maybe one council or a chief. There should always be somebody on call all the time. It's not just a 8-hour job, it's a 24/7 job. We all have needs, we all have wants, we all have emergencies. So that's the other thing that I would really look at doing. And speaking about off reserve people, yeah, like we belong to, but at the same time, we don't have a whole lot of money, but those are some of the things that I would look at. I did speak about that before, like we have those revenues, not much, but there is some. Maybe we can split those revenues, like for bereavement, for sports and recreation, whatever, so we can always have money there if someone has an emergency. And but at the same time, make sure our budgets are on track at the same time, not to overwhelm our budgets, the little budgets that we get from ISC, because we're always under budgeted at the same time for those. Our healthcare system, we have a lot of people I know that graduated RN, LPN. We even have doctors, we have counselors. Let's recruit these people to come and work for us. Those are our good people. They understand us. They lived our life. The other thing that I would really like to work on is an ambulance, because that is a long way for a person that's very sick an hour. We really need our own ambulance in conjunction with Camperville and Duck Bay. I'm not sure, but maybe a feasibility can be done to make that a reality. And I've worked for Child and Family Services for many years, and it never worked, and it's never going to work the way it is right now. My vision for that one day is to not only apprehend the kids, maybe we could even use a different word than apprehend, but take the whole family. You do more harm to a family when you take the kids away from the family. You more harm, I say. We've had enough of that more harm. I vision one day that we could build a home where we can apprehend all the kids, put them in that apartment, have all the resources there, budgeting, counseling, teach them how to cook, teach them how to budget. Maybe they want to do their high school diploma, have all that there, and work with them. Don't put more harm to them by taking the kids. But anyways, that's a vision that I have in my right here. And then we have the social program, and then we have the water and sewer that probably could be updated. We have the water trucks, which some of our people depend on for their livelihood. Those are some of the things that we need to talk about. And then there's a lot of other stuff that, like reconciliation, residential school. I talked a bit about that, like doing the healing program, some directly, some indirectly. Like I mentioned earlier, everybody heals in a different way. you know, maybe the cultural way, maybe in the church, maybe, you know, they have, that's why we need to sit together as a community and find out what people want and what they like and what really needs to happen. Because that's the only way we're gonna heal, is to begin to talk to each other, you know, and get along. And yeah, it's never gonna be perfect, but those are the tools that we need to have, is if we have a disagreement, like, you know, to be able to deal with it in a good way. And what else? And I wanted to mention to the people, and sometimes, you know, it's best to be honest. Sometimes I'm leery about bringing some things, but I am going to bring this out to the people. When I moved on with my life, I met this man, and this man was not very healthy himself. He had problems, and I know some people from Pine Creek because of some of the talk that was going on. But I just wanted to let the people know that this man has been sober now for 8 years, and he's doing really well. And the kindest man you can ever meet. You know, people need chances. So I just wanted to bring that up to people. And if chosen, I'm not planning on moving the family over there. It'll just be me, and I'm not gonna need a home. I have a lot of family over there that I can couch surf with. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, and the other thing too is that, there's so much that I wanted to say. Yeah, infrastructure will go on, but like I said, I would really like to work with the people to see what they want. I know there was a building that was built there recently for how do you say that, for healing purposes. But how do the people want to set that up? It's up to them. I would leave that up to the people. How do you want it set up? Who do you want in there? What kind of healing people do you want in that building? Yeah, we need to start taking care of us individually, as families and as a community. We need to start accepting each other's opinions and constructive criticism in a good way. We will continue working on our economic development. I had some ideas, but these ideas that I had were not only for economic, but like I was talking about gardening, all kinds of gardening, like not only vegetables, but growing strawberry farms, you know, because you could sell those. That could also be economic development. And at the same time, that's a good stress reliever. And I did hear Randy talking about, you know, buying some animals, cattle, and even that sometimes is a good, because you're taking care of something. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, and I wanted to tell the staff that are there right now, like, you know, if I'm elected, don't be afraid for your job. I'm not there to go and cut anybody's neck or anything. You know, I might say some stuff sometimes, but I don't hate you. I don't hate anybody. I love my people. I love people. I'm just, sometimes I get so outspoken that maybe sometimes people don't know how to take me. But that, I wanted you to know that no, I don't hold grudges. You can speak out about me or come and see me and say, you know, I don't like this, I don't like what you did, and then, you know, we could talk about it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And that's the way I expect the band to run, for the band staff to be very patient with the clientele, to speak to them in a proper manner with kindness and with care, because that's what we all need. We all need that. And yeah, we can continue with the proposals, with the grants. like I said, I really would like to work that out with the people, whatever the people would like to do, and I would like really to have a lot of meetings, to have that communication, because that's how communication starts, with meetings, to have dialogue, to start talking about stuff, just to sit around and start talking again. And yeah, infrastructure could go on. I guess if there's any questions, I'm good.
Yeah, you do have some questions.
Yeah, that would be the very good, like I said, my plan is to keep the technicians that we have there, and then, like I said, I'm not going to micromanage. I want to stick to finding funding, doing proposals, and making sure we stay above water, because I've heard the people speak. That was the main concern, that people want to stay above water. And like I said, I lived that. It was very hard. We couldn't go to the bank to cash our checks, and that was hard. That was very hard. So I hear you people. I really do.
The next question that was asked is, if you're elected, are you planning to handle community from where you're living now, or are you planning to move on reserve? Which I believe you just said that you were planning to move on reserve, but you can answer that question.
Like I said in my speech just a while ago, no, I'm not planning on moving my family, but I will be there all the time. Like, I'm not going to run away on you all the time and come running here. I've already talked to my partner about that. He's okay with that. And like I said, I don't need a home. I will couch surf. I have my sister Rita that just recently lost her husband. She lives alone. My sister Lola. I have my son there, Tyler. My sister Shirley, she lives alone. So I have a lot of accommodations.
All right, and I got two more questions for you. This one is, how would you address the people that go out to work and get trained and education and experience outside the community, be able to come home with their skills and training? Many times people have no choice but to leave for employment.
Yes, we would work really very hard with that. Like I was saying, to start recruiting our people that are educated to come and, help us out with building our community, building it to flourish, building it to be strong.
Okay, and your final question, which I've asked almost every candidate so far, is going to be, how do you feel about Bill 64 coming to our province? And after you respond this question, you can go ahead and close out your speech for today. So the question I'll ask once again, how do you feel about Bill 64 coming to our province?
I read upon it a while back, and I don't like it, because once again, I think we're going to fall through the cracks if that ever happens. So if I become chief, I will fight against that very, very loudly, because I don't like it one bit. It's enough we fall through the cracks, and that's not going to be good for us, because they don't know what our community needs and wants, like in a school.
Okay, and you can go ahead and close out your speech now.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, guys, I love my people. I want to go home and feed you guys and be the best leader and continue the good work that has been done. So vote Bev. And I'll close off now. Jimmy Wedge, thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, guys. So that is Beverly Ann Cody, and she is your chief candidate. She just presented her speech via Zoom. And if you guys want to support her, if you guys want to vote for her, you can do so on election day or in the next 3 days on advanced polls. All you got to do is just check out the name right beside her, or check out the box right beside her name, X or a check mark, and that's how you support her. A lot of great thinking there. She took her time thinking about her answers, and it was a good speech. So if you guys want to check her out, or if you guys want to support her, you can do so on June 29th or on advanced polls. Moving forward, guys, this is our temporary last candidate right now, because we have a couple more candidates coming in around 5:30, a little bit after 5:30. So as of right now, until then, we have some openings. If any of the candidates are watching this platform presentation right now, the candidates forum, if you want to come down and present your platform, you may be able to do so. Do they just come down here, or do they? Yeah, you can just show up down here and just let us know that you're here to present your speech, your platform, and we'll set you all up. The stream for right now, I guess because we don't have anybody else, is probably going to come to a stop for a bit until we get some more members coming in. And as soon as we get some more people coming in, then we're going to restart the stream. We do have another person that's coming in at 5:45 and then 6 o'clock, Donna Delarond and Derek Nipanak. They're both coming in at 6 or 5:45, and that's when we're going to restart the stream unless we get some people coming in earlier. Take advantage of your time right now, guys. You can come down. You got a couple hours to present a platform speech if you want to. And yeah, that's it for now. So let's see, bring down this name right here, and we're gonna go over to a quick commercial real quick, and yeah, we'll do this one here. And okay, I'm back. And so I think we're gonna, well, let's go to this. If you guys want to check out this stream on YouTube, it's going to be uploaded maybe, I'm going to say maybe in the next day or two. I'm going to try to get it done tomorrow, but it all depends if I have the time to get it all done in time or not. But if you guys want to check it out, it'll be on Turtle Nation Holdings YouTube channel for those of you that do not have Facebook. And I know that right now you guys are watching on Facebook, so once I post a link on your page, you guys can copy that link and paste it onto your own page, onto a different group. You can send it via email, via text, and that's how you're going to get everybody to go down to check out this candidates forum on YouTube. Doing a quick recap of the candidates. So some of the candidates were not able to make it so far, but they do have an opening to be able to come in if they want to within the next hour and 45 minutes. And I'm gonna stop the stream at some point. We're gonna take a quick, 10-15 minute break while we wait to see if anybody else comes in. If you're here and you want to come in and present your platform, just come on down, let us know who you are, and we'll get you set up. Everything's all set up visually for you, so all you gotta do is just show up and present your platform. You have a little bit of time, guys. Take advantage of it if you can. And that's going to be it for right now, but I'm going to go off with this and wishing everybody once again a happy Aboriginal Day. I hope you guys are enjoying your day wherever you are, and that you're having a great time with your family and loved ones. And yeah, that's going to be it for now. My name is Rod Arriagada. If you guys want to add me or follow me on Facebook, you guys can do so. And if you guys are looking to hire me for some services, you can message me through Facebook as well, or at Rod_Arriagada_204@yahoo.com. You can also message us at turtlenationholdings@gmail.com if you're looking to hire us for electoral services in your community or anything like that. Anything private, weddings or outdoor events or anything like that, powwows, anything like that, you can just message me directly, Rod Arriagada. All right, guys, we'll be back with another stream. If nobody else comes in to present their platform anytime within now and 5:45, then I guess we'll be back at around 5:30, 5:40. That's when we're going to start the next stream. But if somebody comes back any earlier, then we're going to start a little bit earlier. Either way, you guys are going to be able to see that on Pine Creek First Nation on your elections page. That's where it's going to be, where it is right now. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, cheers.